Hello, everybody. For the past 1 month, the whole country has been witnessing the apparent disintegration of a very powerful political party, the Trinamool Congress, which ruled West Bengal for the past 15 years and is a key constituent to the anti BJP India alliance at the center. Out of the 60 of the 80 Trinamool MLAs, including the two expelled legislators forming a rebel bloc and claiming to be uh, the main opposition party in the state, another break in the party took place with around 19 of the 28 Lok Sabha MPs forming a similar bloc themselves, but pledging their support to the BJP-led NDA. And of the of the 13 Rajya Sabha MPs, four not only quit the party, but also quit the upper house. Now, in this situation, we see the party, the Trinamool Supremo, and the former Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, one of the biggest mass leaders in Indian politics, suddenly in a situation where she may lose control of the very party she created 28 years ago. And there is also with her old hands, with her old loyalists turning their back on her, and a lot of resentment against her nephew and heir apparent Abhishek Banerjee coming to the fore. The very formidable Mamata Banerjee has never looked more vulnerable in her long and illustrious career. Now, what the country is now looking at is what is next for this maverick leader from West Bengal. We have with us Rajya Sabha MP Sagarika Ghosh, who will talk to us about the prevailing situation. Welcome, Sagarika.
Hi, Surit.
Sagarika, can you tell us what the situation is right now in the Trinamool camp with all the rebellion that is taking place and so many old leaders apparently singing a different tune?
Very unfortunate, Shurid. The fact is that, citizens of India are being shown really the ugly face of democracy. We can't even call it democracy, but I would say this moral deficit, a moral and ethical deficit. That is certainly there when leaders who have won elections on a particular symbol, who have won elections with a particular leader's face on their posters, who have won elections with a particular party's banner. They when that party loses elections, they suddenly jump ship. Now, is this ethical? Is this moral? I don't think so. But of course, one also has to look at the kind of politics the BJP is playing, Shurid. I mean, the politics of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, the politics of coercion, the politics of police power, the politics of weaponization of state agencies, the politics of threats, the politics of intimidation, and also, of course, the politics of allurement. Um, all of these weapons, threats, intimidation, money power, police power, false cases, FIRs, harassment, all of this is being deployed by the BJP. Now, the politics of Bengal, and you know this, the politics of Bengal has unfortunately had a streak of violence running through it. But we have never seen an opposition party being attacked and persecuted and tormented in the way that the Trinamool Congress is being persecuted and attacked today by the BJP. Leaders are being arrested and being paraded through the streets in their shorts, without their their outer clothing. I mean, this is medieval. This is a kind of medieval barbarism which is going on against the Trinamool Congress. There have been instances where party offices have been burnt, the people have been arrested, people have been attacked. As you know, Abhishek Banerjee, our National General Secretary and leader in the Lok Sabha, he had a rock thrown at his face. If he hadn't been wearing a helmet, he would have been perhaps mortally injured. He was attacked. Our other senior leaders have been attacked. Now, this has never happened in this kind of attack on the opposition has not happened in Bengal before. With the opposition space has been respected. Yes, there has been a rough edge to politics, but this kind of single minded torment of the opposition has not happened to an opposition party in Bengal before.
Well, violence, there has been
You've seen
violence.
that, there has been, but you've seen the way Jahangir Khan was paraded
You're
on the
right.
streets. I mean,
The
this is medievalism. This is barbarism.
yes,
I mean, if there are cases against him, if there are, let law take its course. You have seen how when Mamata Banerjee was away in Delhi, she was meeting Sonia Gandhi in the India Alliance meetings. Her home was raided by the CID. By the CID, they broke into her home. Abhishek Banerjee's home has been raided, and what has been the report in the seizure, in finding in the seizure report? Nil, nil. Nothing has been found. No evidence has been found. No wrongdoing has been found. So, what was the idea of this raid conducted on Mamata Banerjee's house and Abhishek Banerjee's house? It was pure vendetta, pure intimidation, pure harassment, pure mental torture. This has not been seen before. Can you remember this happening to Buddhadev Bhattacharjee? When he was defeated, can you remember this happening to any Congress leaders when they were defeated? BJP leaders to have taken out rallies, they have protested in Bengal, they have moved around in Bengal. This has not happened to opposition leaders in Bengal in the manner that it is happening today.
but true, it has. There have been instances where it's been quite jarring to the senses and to the optics, especially the scenes of people being tied up by the waist and paraded around. Definitely, it's an unseemly sight. But at the same time, we're talking about why this kind of unraveling is taking place within the party. Why are so many old timers who've been with Mamata for more than 40 years, why are they suddenly jumping, deserting ship? They have been with Mamata when she was in opposition for so long. Why are they leaving ship now that she's out of power? I mean, she's been in opposition longer than she's actually been in power.
Yes, and there are many veteran leaders who have been with her in her years of struggle and who have struggled with her. I think there's a push factor and a pull factor. You see, the kind of politics, as I said, the kind of weaponization of the state that the BJP has done is unprecedented. The enforcement directorate, the CID, the IT, the CBI, all of these are now weapons in the hands of the BJP, and they are using them to in full force against the opposition. You see, the idea is to create a majority in the Lok Sabha to pass delimitation and the women's reservation bill. The government desperately wants to pass the delimitation bill so that the numbers of the North Indian states rise, and therefore the government is given an opportunity to do what is, as you know, is gerrymandering. You see, you can gerrymander the constituencies in a way that your majority will be assured in the 2029 election. The government is desperate to do this. Modi and Amit Shah are desperate to do this. Now, they don't have a majority in the Lok Sabha, right? This is a minority government. They said they would get 400 par in 2024. They got 240 seats. They are at the moment reliant on the support of the JDU and the TDP, the 12 MPs of the JDU and the 16 MPs of the TDP. That is Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish Kumar. Now, so therefore, it is a minority government reliant on its coalition partners. It does not have the two-thirds majority to pass the delimitation bill, which is required. It's a constitutional amendment bill, so it requires a two-thirds majority, which the government doesn't have. So what they're trying to do, Shurid, is trying to create an artificial majority. Somehow, after 2024, they have not been able to come to terms with the defeat of 2024, and they're trying to somehow break opposition parties and bring them all onto the BJP side, NDA side, and create an artificial majority in the Lok Sabha, which is subverting the mandate of the people. The people did not give a mandate to the BJP in 2024. The mandate of the people was a coalition government. Janadesh kya tha, as they say. The mandate of the people was for a strong opposition. The mandate of the people was a coalition government. The mandate of the people was not for a majority government for the BJP. but they are trying to create this majority by breaking parties. So this is the effort on the part of the BJP, and so this is the pull factor. The push factor, I would say that it's very disturbing that so many senior leaders are choosing to leave, and perhaps they have their own reasons. I think there's an ethical and a moral deficit. I think that shows a certain weakness of character. But I would say that whatever the differences, whatever the problems, these should all be aired within the party forum. Why do these people feel that things are so bad that they have to leave the party? And I want to ask this question, Shurid, that would these people have deserted Mamata Banerjee? Would they have left the Trinamool Congress if Mamata had won the election? If she had won the election, would they do this? Would they say, no, 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 this party doesn't listen to me. I can't, I have angst in this party. I can't raise my voice in this party. I can't express myself. People don't listen to me. There's no democracy in this party. Would they have all these problems if the election had been won? If the election was won and they had all enjoyed yet another stint in power, then would they have angst and problems and issues on in a party democracy? So I think these are people who want to be close to power. I think these are people who want to be close to the center. They want to be close to, I hate to say this because many are very senior colleagues, the loaves and fishes of office, and and that is why they're leaving. There's a one honorable lady member who was waxing eloquent on how 15 years of Mamata Banerjee and this hadn't happened and that hadn't happened. And yet the honorable member of parliament's husband had been a minister, had himself been a minister. So if the government had been so bad, your own husband was a minister in the same government. Why didn't you speak up then? So, would these people have been expressing all this angst about inner party democracy and problems with the leadership if we had won the election? No, they would not have.
I absolutely agree with you here. That most people are agreeing with you here that there would have been this would not probably have been the case had Mamata come back for a fourth term. These are the same people who would have remained. So the question is,
The same
why
people would be singing the praises of the leadership.
absolutely. You've said that, like Kunal Ghosh has said that, like, where are these people? Where would these people have been? Would they have been like, so a lot of these people themselves have acknowledged. If you look at the earlier interviews we had taken, they themselves have said we didn't have the guts to do it. We found that the party was in its lowest stage. That's why we came and we could like have the guts to come out and revolt. Now, my question is, why what is it about Trinamool that it cannot inspire loyalty among even those who are so, who have been with them for so long, not just the old ones, but also the new ones. I'm not talking about a handful of, people who have remained loyal to Mamata, such as yourself, such as, the others. But why have so many people? Why have 2/3 of the parliamentarians left? Why have 2/3 of the, what is it about it that the why what held them together? Was it
So
only
that's the
power?
same. It's the same answer, Shuril. It's because she's lost, and she has also lost her own seat. As you know, she's lost her own assembly seat. So she's not in the assembly. If she had been in the assembly, she would have been. There would have been no question about who would be the leader of the opposition in the Bengal assembly.
I
But
mean, the left also lost, remember? And they lost after 34 years in power, but we didn't see such a disintegration so soon. Gradually later, there were people who were coming out and forming, but like the core of the left leadership remained with the left. But here we're seeing the core of the
I
leadership.
think I think I think I think there is a certain perhaps perhaps after having all of these people have been in power for 3-4 terms, right? They're all 3-time MPs, 4-time MPs. They've all been ministers. They've all been in Delhi. They've all been heads of standing committees and chairman of X committee and that parliamentary committee. So I think they want access to power. And I think that the weakening of Mamata Banerjee has left them with the feeling that they can never come back to power, because you know that how what happens with the BJP once it assumes power in the state, it then chokes off all opposition. It then chokes off every every single opposition MLA. I mean, they even go to the extent of denying facilities to opposition constituencies. Where there are opposition MLAs who have won in the constituencies that the opposition MLAs have won, their facilities don't reach, and development doesn't happen. And you saw the kind of vindictive politics the BJP plays, that you stop funds to Bengal because it's an opposition ruled state. You stop Manrega funds because it's an opposition ruled state. You stop Awas Yojana funds because it's an opposition ruled state. So the kind of war on the opposition that the BJP particularly engages in. Now, you could say, why doesn't it happen in Tamil Nadu? Why hasn't it happened in Kerala with the left, or with the DMK in Tamil Nadu? But the BJP is not a player in either Tamil Nadu or Kerala. The BJP is in power in Bengal. It is handling, it is in, it is use, it is use, it is, it can use the coercive power of the state in Bengal. So this kind of war on the opposition, you see, the BJP wants an opposition mukt Bharat. They want to annihilate the opposition. No other opposition party has done that, has done this. Yes, yes, you're right. The left was defeated, but it wasn't, war on the left. I remember very respectful relations between Mamata Banerjee and Buddhadev Bhattacharya. At her swearing in, there's a photograph where she's very respectfully showing him to his seat. So there was not this kind of all-out, excoriating, wrathful vengeance and vendetta on the opposition as the BJP is doing today. I mean, can you imagine a left leader being bound by rope and made to strip down to his underwear and being paraded through the streets? This has not happened before. So the level of, and I can tell you, Shurit, that I have been speaking to some colleagues, erstwhile colleagues of mine, who in the Trinamool in Bengal, who are mortally scared, terrified that not only are they going to be harmed, their children are going to be harmed, their wives who may be employed in a government hospital or may be teaching in a government college, they may be harmed, they may lose their jobs. So there is a level of mortal fear that that is not practiced by other opposition, that by other parties. I don't remember the Trinamool doing this to the left at all. In when the I remember Mamata Banerjee had ordered that Robindra Sangeet should be played on the loudspeakers, and the left leaders were treated with a certain amount of respect. But and it's the same with the Congress. The Congress, at the end of the day, the BJP, I mean, this is the long-term historical perspective. The BJP was able to grow and able to grow its party under Congress leadership, when Congress was in power. Who encouraged Atal Bihari Vajpayee to speak in parliament and encourage him as a parliamentarian? It was Nehru. It was Nehruvian parliamentary democracy that enabled the rise of an Atal Bihari Vajpayee in parliament. His voice was not muzzled, his mic was not switched off, he was not suspended from parliament. He was allowed to speak. The BJP was allowed to grow. So there was not this kind of, you could say, yes, in the period of the emergency, Indira Gandhi jailed opposition leaders, and that was those 20 months of the emergency. But in other dispensations, there has not been this kind of all out vicious battle against the opposition. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I mean, the stories that people have told me, my colleagues have told me confidentially about why they are lying low, or they're switching are terrifying.
The other thing is that I understand there is, but that's also been
Reign of terror. It's a reign of terror.
Mhm. You also mentioned that when we were talking about the would these rebel MPs would they have had rebelled had Mamata remained in power, had Mamata come back to power, had Mamata Banerjee come back to power? And you said, there was scope for talk within the party. They could have had a conversation within the party to like voice their grievances. Now, this is something that most of them have been raising. This allegation that there was no democracy within the party. There was no way to approach either Mamata or Abhishek. And it was IPAC that was essentially running everything. Even Mamata had who kind of built the party herself, had kind of loosened her grip on the reins of the party, and it was being run by the IPAC as per, and to some extent,
No,
Abhishek.
I can tell you, Shurit, that there were already voices against the IPAC before the result. A number of veteran leaders had spoken out about the IPAC. They had spoken out about how 24-year-olds and 25-year-olds were calling them and telling them to do here, go do this, do that. So there was a lot of resentment, and I accept that perhaps the role of IPAC in the Trinamool Congress has been has led to a lot of disenchantment. But I think that there was a lot of scope to raise all of this within the party forums. Mamata Banerjee, Mamata Di keeps having us to her home for meetings. Right after the election on the 14th, we all went to her house for a meeting. We were all encouraged to speak our minds about what we felt was going wrong. We were all asked to write in, give it in writing as to what we felt was going wrong. Abhishek was there with having holding meetings with us in Parliament when he came to Delhi. We were all, Now the thing is, you can't say that I couldn't speak because I was scared or I was nervous. Actually, the thing is that if you wanted to speak, you could speak. You could speak to Certainly you could always speak to Shudip Dai when she came to Delhi, and she's to regularly now rebelling. They were all given posts. Akholidi was chief whip. Shatabdi was deputy leader. So, and they were all the parliamentary work, carrying out parliamentary strategy. So, how is it that they suddenly feel that they can't speak and their voices are not being heard? Uh, there has been ample scope in many meetings which we have had where I have been present in Mamata Banerjee's home, in Abhishek Banerjee's chamber, many people did raise issues. All of this is happening because you're blaming the party because you have lost the election. That is what is happening. And why have you lost the election? We have lost the election, let's face it, because this election was stolen by the BJP. This has not been a free and fair election. It cannot, on any scope of imagination, satisfy the threshold of free and fair elections. The Bengal elections of 2026 will go down in the history of democratic politics in post-independence India as a blot on democracy. The deletions, the use of force, the use of the election commission, the manner in which counting agents were intimidated, and you've seen I don't know if you've been following the revelations about Rajarhat Newtown, where the Trinamool candidate won. He won the election, but due to a booth declared its results, a 97% Muslim booth, which went entirely to the BJP, and because of that, the votes of that booth, the BJP candidate won by 316 votes. And now, I don't know if you follow that story, that Alt News has gone to that booth and they have said, but we did not vote for the BJP. So how did our votes go to the BJP? The bites that they've gathered. The original story was, I think, done by Scroll, which showed that how the booths voted and how the margin of deletions was so much uh, higher than the victory margins. The deletions were so much higher than the victory margins. It's very simple. If I've won an election by 800 votes, but 17,000 have been deleted from my constituency, if only 800 of those 17,000 deleted had voted for me, I would have lost, or I would have won. It would have changed. So that happened in Jangipara. Jangipara, the Trinamool Congress lost by 800 votes, and there were 17,000 deletions. Out of those 17,000 deletions, if even 800, maybe those 17,000 also would have voted for BJP. But even if just 800 of those 17,000 had voted for the Trinamool candidate, the Trinamool candidate would have won. So there are many seats like this. And I think that Rajarhat Newtown should be an election petition. We are filing an election petition on Rajarhat Newtown. And we hope that the election commission will take note of the results and provide an explanation that how did this happen? How did a booth, which is predominantly Muslim, okay, maybe they all voted for the BJP, but they suddenly all voted for BJP. But now those same voters in that booth are saying that they did not vote in this particular way. So, as the activists are saying, as Yogendra Yadav, Anjali Bhardwaj, all the election watchers are saying, the Bengal election of 2026 did not satisfy the minimum threshold of a free and fair poll. I mean, maybe Trinamool Congress would have lost anyway. But you see, there is a difference in losing in a free and fair poll than losing in this kind of highly manipulated election with 27 lakh logical discrepancies, 34 lakh under adjudication, those tribunals not set up, and 99% of the cases who are going to the tribunals are coming back to rolls. So 34 lakh were not allowed to vote. But I think some 1,300 who have gone to the tribunals, most of them are back to rolls. 1,300 of the under adjudication have come back to the rolls, and the Supreme Court actually said, "Oh, doesn't matter if you can't vote in this election, you can vote in the next election." Now, this is a highly problematic statement by the Supreme Court, by Justice Bagchi. The right to vote is a constitutional and statutory right. It is not a right that hinges on administrative convenience. That, oh, we are doing the SIR exercise and we are having a problem with the tribunal. So therefore, if you can't vote this time, next time you vote. You're violating you're snatching away a constitutional and statutory right. It's not the right to vote is not a favor granted by the Election Commission. It's a right. It's an inherent right that I have.
Absolutely.
So how can you see? So not only this, but so these deletions, the manner in which Mamata Banerjee herself was, pushed around in the booth, and not allowed to sit at the counting table, the manner in which counting agents were intimidated, they were thrown out, they were beaten up. As I said, maybe anti-incumbency was there. After 15 years, anti-incumbency is natural, it's inevitable, it's normal. But there is a difference in losing because of anti-incumbency and losing because of a manipulated vote. And I think this was not a free and fair election. It was a manipulated election. And it is very unfortunate that people are seeing this election as a normal election. It is not a normal election. We can't normalize any of this. You see, all of what the BJP is doing is being normalized by the media. You're using coercive methods. Oh, this is Chanakya Niti. It is a master stroke. It is a smart politics. It is brilliant statecraft. It's not. It's actually a destruction of democratic norms. It's a destruction of constitutional and democratic norms. So none of this should be normalized. This was not a normal election. What the BJP is doing is not normal. How the Election Commission acted is not normal. None of this should be normalized.
Absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with you here, as do so many people. But the thing is that this is something that Mamata Banerjee herself has been maintaining as soon as the results were declared, that she refused to acknowledge the fact that Trinamool has lost. The fact is that she's maintained that this loss was foisted on the Trinamool. It's not really a Trinamool loss. That is why she didn't really give up. She didn't step down as chief minister either. It was like a symbolic gesture on her part.
It was a symbolic defiance. I mean, she was not.
It was a symbolic defiance.
She was never going to contest the will of the people, but it was a symbolic defiance that I don't accept this verdict.
But at the same time, if you've been hearing what most of the losing candidates have been saying, they've kind of acknowledged that, yeah, this is like, we can't help it. This is the will of the people, whatever. So they have acknowledged that this is a Trinamool defeat. Now, at the end of it, Trinamool has been defeated. That can be in any democracy. A party will win and a party will lose. But what is shocking most people is the way the core of Trinamool seems to be surrendering to the BJP. You see, we have the assembly, we have in the assembly a section that most feel are now going to be controlled by the BJP. We have in the parliament a section that has voiced its allegiance to the NDA. We
Yeah.
have in the Rajya Sabha those who are, we have Shushmita who left Rajya Sabha and is most likely to join the BJP. I don't know whether she will or not ultimately, but
She
all,
hasn't made it clear. She hasn't made it clear where she's going, but yes,
all
she
indications. Yeah.
resigned from the
So,
Trinamool.
so
Yes.
that is what is the main thing that is uh, on the people's mind. Like, why is Trinamool? Why are people? Why is the core of Trinamool surrendering? Except for its top leadership, except for a handful of people, why is everybody else surrendering? Can you explain this unraveling? Is it because of a lack of ideology? You see, this is the same Trinamool that was a part of the NDA. This is the same Trinamool that was a part of a Congress alliance too. And this is the same Trinamool that wants to now is holding talks with the Congress after
BJP, the rebels or the party.
the party. I'm
The
talking
party,
about
yes, yeah,
and
yes, yes. They're
yeah.
holding talks with the Congress, yes.
Yeah. So, like, is there some kind of a lack of ideology or the lack of, steadfast political principles that is,
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The ideology of the Trinamool
I
Congress
mean,
is.
was it just power and money that held the party together? I'm sorry, it's a
I
very,
know that's a valid question. That is a valid question, and you're absolutely entitled to ask that question, given how people are, how the leaders are behaving. But the ideology of the Trinamool Congress, when I came into it in 2 years ago, to me, it's a kind of grassroots. Uh, Liberalism. It's a kind of grassroots constitutionalism. I mean, in the sense that it's very grassroots, it's Mamati Manush. It is very tolerant of the individual. It is very supportive of women, highly supportive of women. And it is very rare for a woman leader to actually encourage other women, not only in terms of welfare, but in terms of representation and agency. Mamata Banerjee has put very, very prominent vocal women in prominent positions. Two of our senior ministers in the Bengal government were women. We have very senior women parliamentarians. We have very senior women office bearers. So the representation of women, a grassroots connect at all times in terms of policies, and also a certain grassroots, I would say, a commitment to liberal values in the sense of openness to industry and openness to a more to an open economy. As you know, there's been a push for the IT industries. There's been a push for in welcoming industries back to India. Amit Mitro, who was the Secretary General of the FICCI, was our finance minister. Chandrima Bhattacharya was our finance minister. Both are known to be economic liberals. Both are known to be in favor of industrialization. Both are known to be, in favor of opening up to industry. And both are also, and also this commitment to welfareism. We have won UN awards. The Konyashri scheme has been awarded by the United Nations. Durga Puja has been awarded by the UNESCO as a living and intangible heritage. There's a very nice phrase that Mamata Di has of "Dharmo jar jar utsav shobar," which struck me as a very articulate and pithy formulation on this grassroots pluralism and grassroots cosmopolitanism. Dharmo jar jar utsav shobar. Our religions are personal, but we celebrate all festivals together. So we celebrate Eid, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Durga Puja, of course. We celebrate the Hindu festivals. We are silent for the period of the Ajan. We honor every religion, every festival. And the Park Street Christmas and the the festivities on Eid, and of course the Durga Puja. So I think there is an ideology. There is an ideology of grassroots pluralism, of welfareism at the grassroots, of connectedness with the grassroots, as well as a kind of a rooted Bengali liberal, Bengali liberalism, and also, of course, Bengal Asmita. I mean, that is also the ideology of the Trinamool. Uh, Bangla Oshmita, the attachment to the figures of the Bengal Renaissance, Rabindranath, Nazrul Islam, all of these figures, Swami Vivekananda, all of these are pathfinders for the Trinamool Congress. So there is Bengali identity. There is a kind of grassroots pluralism.
It's like a
It's it's a
it's like a
grassroots.
it's like a mishmash, isn't it?
It's not a mishmash. I would say it's a regional party. It's a regional party based on regional a high degree of regional sentiment, and a high degree of regional welfareism, and a high degree uh, as well as a commitment to to a vibrant regional hub, and industry and economy of the region. So it's a I wouldn't say it's a Shiv Sena, because I don't think the Trinamool Congress is nativist in that sense, or that kind has that kind of strong nativism of the Shiv Sena, the Marathi Manus, etc. But I think the Trinamool compares to say the DMK in terms of a very rooted cultural grassroots identity. So I don't think it's wrong. It's fair to say that there's no ideology. Um, and as far as regional parties are concerned, even the DMK has allied with the BJP. Even the DMK has allied with the Congress. Even the no, not anymore. So regional parties operate according to their regional, according to a regional matrix, and and a very powerful regional sentiment. And I think and I think Mamata Banerjee herself as a leader, I think she's extraordinary. I think she's an extraordinary woman leader. She has built a party, a political startup as a woman leader. Uh, there is a phrase, I use this often: female accession to male martyrdom. Female accession to male martyrdom. That is, across South Asia, females accede to the martyrdom of the dead male. A very powerful man dies, and his martyrdom comes as a mantle on his wife or his daughter or his sister, or the same thing with, say, Benazir Bhutto, Sirimava Bandaranaike, Indira Gandhi herself. I'm Indira Gandhi's biographer, of course I know this. Sheikh Hasina. Mamata Banerjee is not that. She is actually bucks this trend. She's the only woman in South Asia who bucks this trend. She is not doing female accession to male martyrdom. She has built a party entirely on her own. Um, Taken that party to success, won 3 elections, become chief minister 3 times, herself a 7-time MP, herself a several-time union minister. And it's all on the basis of her own struggle. I mean, Modi, people say Modi is an extraordinary leader. Modi always had the massive organization of the RSS supporting him every step of the way. He had the RSS organization supporting him every step of the way. Mamata Banerjee had no one. She had nothing. She just had herself. She just had herself and her struggle. So I think in that sense, the party is built around her persona and her struggle and her what she represents as a leader. And
Now,
and I think that is the ideology, is this kind of ideology of struggle and grassroots pluralism and grassroots welfareism.
now the last question, because we are almost running out of time here. It's where are we heading? Where is Trinamool heading with the Congress? Tell us something about the talks with the Congress. What's happening there?
Well, the talks with the Congress, as the India Alliance meet was initiated by the Congress after the assembly election results. It was very much to show that the India Alliance is very strong, and the talks with the Congress are extremely close. It's 10 on 10. If I had to give a grade, it's not 1 on 10 or 2 on 10 or 3 on, it's 10 on 10. We are completely with the Congress, although we fought 294 seats against each other. But as you know, Mamata Banerjee and Sonia Gandhi have always had a very strong comradeship. She recognizes Mr. Rajiv Gandhi as her mentor and as a mentor of sorts, although she's never had a mentor. But we're very, very close to the Congress. And I think that
She's been quite unsparing of Rahul.
she has been, I think we were fighting elections against each other, right? We were fighting 294 seats. The Congress gave 294 seats against the Trinamool in the state. We were adversaries in this election, and that's the same with with many India Alliance partners. The left and Congress are adversaries in Kerala, yet they are alliance partners at the national level. So therefore, at the state level, when you're fighting elections, yes, you do you keep up a robust rhetoric against the other. But on the national level, we're completely united. I don't think we have ever been more united than we are today. So, I have always believed as a journalist that, this I've written as a journalist, that to challenge the Sangh Parivar, you need a united Congress Parivar, the larger Congress Parivar.
So this is not the end of Mamata, you're saying?
Not at all. It is not the end of Mamata at all. She's a remarkable politician. She's a remarkable fighter. I myself find her extremely inspiring. Just the way she's able to do her politics, this connectedness she has with millions of people who she's talking to with thousands of people who she's talking to on the phone. She knows them by name. She's connecting with them all the time. There's a kind of this kind of politics of constant interaction that she does, particularly when there's any suffering, when there's any problem, she rushes there. She puts herself physically in that situation. She puts herself, she practices corporeal politics. She's always there physically. She's not tweeting or putting something on Facebook or giving a statement. Physically, she is there at the flood or the train accident or the collapsed flyover or wherever it is. She is there. So I find that very inspiring. And I think if anyone can bounce back, it is her. We will bounce back. We will get. I think that, as she says, the people who are not interested in, not invested in the Trinamool, if they want to go, they should go. I think there is a moral and ethical deficit there, and they should go. And we will. I think if anyone can rebuild the party and come back to power, even more powerful, even more popular, it is Mamata Banerjee, and I'm confident she'll do it.
And just one more thing, is it the end of Abhishek?
Not at all. Not at all. I think he's proved himself time and again in the record victories that he wins. You see, again, I come down to it, Shuri. If we had won the election, would all these questions have been raised then? Then everybody would have been singing the praises of Abhishek. What an organizer, what a mass organizer he is, how good he is at organizing the party structure, how good he is at organizing the party organization. Then the analysis would have been the opposite.
Now
Now
people are asking Mamata to choose
lost.
between
Now,
us or Abhishek.
yeah, but I think that's again it's a function of defeat. You know, the
And that too from one of her loyalists. I'm talking about Kollan.
but he's gone back on his.
Yeah, but he said it nevertheless. I mean, he can retract.
But it's
whatever he
nevertheless,
knows,
he's an emotional person, and I think whatever the differences are can all be sorted out in in a party dialogue. I think Kullanda has been with Mamata for decades,
Yeah.
for decades. So that is a very, very strong bond of loyalty. I don't think that can ever break. I think the ups and downs happen in relationship. We're human, right? We're a human force. There are people struggling to come to terms with this defeat. There are people struggling to come to terms with the kind of attacks we're facing on the street, with the kind of attempts that are being made to assault us in public places. You saw what happened to Mohua. You saw what happened to Kollanda. You saw what has happened to many people who've been in public places, and suddenly there's a mob screaming Jai Shri Ram or chor chor, etc., and coming at you. So people are everyone is human, and we have never seen this in Bengal. We have never seen this kind of uncivilized behavior in Bengal, and yes, people are struggling to come to terms with what has happened. Give us time, but we will be back. More strong, more powerful, more popular.
Thank you so much, Sagarika.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Shurid.
talking to you.
Thank you, Shurid.